So let me introduce our special guest on the show today, the Wellness Director, PhD, and Vice President powerhouse of the Diet Doc, now stationed at the headquarters in San Diego, which I actually called Mr. before this conversation. We're actually redoing it, but it's the Miss Dr. Kori Propst. As a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and licensed professional counselor, she has earned a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology, a master of science in counseling, a doctorate in health psychology and behavioral medicine. The list goes on. Her education is enhanced by certifications in personal training, health coaching, and lifestyle and weight management consulting, and also with the ISSN, the International Society of Sports Nutrition. Kori's approach is as diverse as her impressive background. She is specialized in a blend of coaching and therapeutic modalities, including cognitive behavioral, positive psychology, mindfulness, and strength-based experimental techniques, all geared towards integrative self-determination. Wow, this list goes on. Her rich education and expertise creates an unmatched expertise in physical and mental training and mind-body integration, optimal athletic performance, and overall well-being. Kori has guided top-level athletes towards optimizing their strategic plans for success, as well as individuals working towards empowerment, control, and an approach of curious emergence in all areas of their lives. She began weight training at the age of 14 and has earned professional status in 3 divisions of physique competition, including bodybuilding, figure, and fit body with the WNBF. She has been runner-up and contender at the WNBF World Championships twice. She earned pro title at the Mid-America Pro-Am and the Pro Cup in Sacramento, along with placing top 5 in every competition she has done. That list is nice and big, Kori. Published in the Journal of Nutrition and various community magazines, Kori has a regular column in Oxygen Women's Fitness and Ultra Fitness magazines, and also is the managing editor at the Alpha, the Evolution of Fitness magazine, is an avid blog writer, teacher at national camps and retreats, and provides international webinars that have changed the lives of men and women all over the world. She has co-authored 50 Days to Your Best Body Life with Dr. Joe Klemczewski, the Diet Doc founder, which includes mindset and behavioral change life skills section promoting long-term maintenance strategies and a new attention and perspective necessary for success. Kori excels at attuning to the individual needs and unique lifestyles of her clients with finesse and skill that only comes with experience and a genuine desire for them to live their most authentic lives possible. Wow. With great pleasure, I welcome to the show the woman mastering many talents, Miss, not Mr., Miss Dr. Kori Propst. How are you doing, Kori?
Matt, I'm awesome. Thank you for that very long introduction. That was very nice. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, those are your compliments, Kori. I don't know how much I can do about that. I'm just reading what you've done. So, but I got to tell you, that took a lot of breath out of me.
No kidding. Let's just, Kori Propst, normal person, trying to live her life in connecting with people.
That's the beauty of you, is you're so down to earth and humble. And okay, here's the thing, guys. If you haven't met Kori, okay, she's like a gentle giant. And I mean that figuratively, because
not a dental giant.
Well, we're kind of going with the pun there on that, okay? But she is someone who's like, okay, you know, has accomplished so much. She's one strong woman in the gym, by the way, and you know, she stands about 6'7". You know, and that's, anybody who knows her, that means she's about, you know, what are you, 5 foot, Kori?
I tower over everyone. Yes, at 5'2".
Oh, you are a gentle. I'm telling you, I love that about you, Kori. You are amazing. So this is going to be a fun interview. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a lot of interesting humor, insight, wisdom, lessons, gems of greatness from Kori. So, Kori, you're also a PhD, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now,
thank you. Yeah, fortunately, that's done. That I successfully defended in October. Yes.
Now, how many years was that?
That was 5.
Wow, 5 years, eh?
Mm-hmm. 5 years and a move across the country and starting a new business. And yeah, it was fun.
Well, here's something interesting. Before their call, I was asking Kori about some things. We're kind of catching up, and one thing you mentioned was this exciting journey with your cousin Luke when you guys traveled across from Evansville, Indiana, to San Diego for the new head office, and it was like what, a 2-hour drive, right?
Oh, less than that. Yeah, it's just a quick little jaunt. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. So this is so good. So totally, this is going to be the best interview we've ever had in a long time. So from that being said, this is quite the journey in a Penske vehicle, packing all your goods, moving from Evansville to San Diego. And from what I heard, you fed Luke the whole way. He was the driver. And now you're stationed in San Diego with the Diet Doc, and you guys are expanding, eh?
Definitely. We're growing, selling more and more licenses so that we have experts all over the country and even overseas. And that's something that Joe and I enjoy doing so much, is mentoring business owners to create the most lucrative businesses they can, become the most successful entrepreneurs they can, and really to help people change their lives. But yeah, I got to feed Luke for 30 hours, and because he's a power lifter and needs a lot of Swedish fish and Chex Mix. I didn't have to do any of the driving, so that was the least I could do, right? Was feed him and buy all the snacks.
and you're a weight loss expert. This is great because this is the new technology of nutrition, This is how you grow.
That's driving food right there. Yes. He just needed quick energy. So he was on point and was not distracted on the road. Yes. 26-foot Penske pulling my car. So it's a semi. That's a semi.
Oh, I got this visual. I did
not envy him. And it was bad enough sitting in the passenger seat. We actually, Matt, we got stuck at one point because we pulled into this parking lot and really should not have. We could not turn around. Fortunately, some old trucker drove up in this pickup. We were just sitting in the middle of this church parking lot, and we were honestly thinking, can we drive over the lawn to get out of here? No, because we would sink. I actually ran into the lawn and it was all soggy and muddy. Yeah, that won't work. And we would have had to have four-wheeled over the cement parking lot separators. We actually considered that in the 26-foot Penske and decided against it. It was the scariest, worst, most humiliating experience ever when we're sitting there looking at each other what do we do? We are stuck. There is zero, we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere. And so we just sat there and we waited. Unfortunately, a guy drove up and he pulled up in his truck and he gets out and he's kind of, I wish you could see my face right now. He's got his hand on his chin and he looks at both of us, looks us over, and he's like, looks like you got yourself in a little pickle. And we look at each other and I'm about ready to cry just from relief that there's actually another human there to help us. And then we find out that he's a trucker and he's like, get out of the way, give me the keys. He gets in, he backs the whole thing, the whole semi up back onto the main highway, up this huge hill, gets us pointed in the direction we need to go. And he's like, all right, here's what you got to do. And he's like, you need to take this route and then you got to turn this way. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. We're two 35-year-old, just ignorant thinking we're professionals. Like it was really embarrassing, but man, what an experience. So yeah, like I was telling you, every time we pass a Penske now, Luke has flashbacks. And yeah, they're on my couch and we're doing a little therapy. So
You know, what's interesting is, one of our questions is one of your biggest challenges. And I think we've just addressed that.
So how would you define that? One of my biggest challenges.
You know what? I'm not even sure. You got me stumped right there, but I'll tell you.
One of my biggest challenges is, I think, feeling a lack of competence. That's one of my biggest vulnerabilities. And, for most of my life, I would have to say that has been the monkey on my back. And I really have to be careful with it because I can push and push and push and feel this intense pressure to succeed and achieve and acquire. And it's not acquire stuff. I am one of the most frugal people you will meet. I do not like stuff because it creates, I get very uncomfortable around it because it creates more and more responsibility. And with everything else that I prioritize, I don't want that energy around me. But it's acquisition of knowledge and acquisition of achievements, really. And so my challenge has been to always take a step back when I start to feel that intense sense of pressure. And I can feel when it's moving from enjoyment in the pursuit to a have to and a need to. And so it's this, I have a persistent practice that I engage in to reground myself and breathe and really ask myself the question, why are you doing this? What's behind that? I don't like feeling incompetent. No one does. Really feeling effective in our environments is one of those basic motivational needs for moving forward with anything that we're pursuing. At the same time, understanding that having a sense of uncertainty and knowing that we can't know everything is necessary. And so in the moment with the Penske, when we were stuck, and I'm racking my brain for every possibility of how we can get out of the parking lot, in that it was just like this vacuum moment where I'm like, the world is closing in on me right now and I am completely helpless. And that's not entirely true. I wasn't completely helpless. I just felt that way because I perceived that in that moment I had zero choice.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to eat all this Chex Mix now that's left over, Luke, because you did it.
Give it to the trucker.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Because it was a stressful trip.
Oh, I'm loving this interview more and more. It's like we have all these drops of like diamond bits of wisdom, and all of a sudden we get this nice burst of humor. I just love this. This is great. Keeps the interaction so fruitful. So that was a really weird word I just said there. But with that, I want to kind of go into some like you, because you're so well rounded in some of the things that you're involved in, right? And I have some questions I want to ask you personally because I really want to know like all the stuff you've been studying, learning about, diving into like mindfulness and positive psychology. This stuff is really cool. And I really want to know from you, being the expert in this area, like how important is that? Like when it comes to mindfulness, what's your definition of that? And how do you, what are the techniques that you imply with people to have them do that or practice that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's a practice that's different for everyone. And each person can engage it in varying levels of intensity and length and time. And there are different types of mindfulness too, that are more appropriate in various situations. But for myself, mindfulness is a practice of separating the signal from the noise and non-judgmentally approaching whatever I'm engaged in with presence. So that means coming more to my center with my breathing in particular, because to me, the breath is the one thing that is always there. It's the one thing that I can rely on. And when we move into anxiety, it's like we are forecasting the future. And when we move, when we can shift into depression, we're shifting into comparison. And so finding our center means we are neither comparing and we're not forecasting, and we are right here, right now. And that gives us an opportunity to see things more as they are rather than how we are, whether that relates to a certain emotion, a certain mood, a certain circumstance, a situation, the climate, different things that are going on in our relationships. So mindfulness to me is not necessarily staying cerebral. It's dropping away from being so cerebral and thinking all the time and or getting caught up in the thoughts that we're having. It's generating the ability to notice what's going on up there. And there's always something going on up there. Some things we like, some things we don't, a lot of things we don't. We tend to get snared by and caught in the things that we don't. But being able to just look at those thoughts, and to be able to say, well, that's interesting. I wonder where that came from. And I think a lot of people worry about the thoughts that they have. Like, wow, I shouldn't be thinking that. Well, you did. It's not a question of should or shouldn't. It was there. Does it have to mean anything? No, it doesn't. Do we have to attach a valence to it? No, we don't. It's a string of words and that's it. So it's a choice. Mindfulness is a choice for sure. But what it gives me is a much greater sense of peace. It drops me away from that pressure that I talked about earlier. And that is one of the things that I do when I start to feel that sense of pressure and pushing and clinging to something and the have-tos and the shoulds. So in regards to, how I work with my clients, that's one of the first things that I begin helping them to learn is that our thoughts are not bad. We don't have to categorize them as bad or good. They are just words. And we can expect that we're going to have thousands of thoughts a day, and some of them we may not like, but that doesn't even matter. We can look at our brains, our minds, as a movie marquee or the sky, and the thoughts are the clouds floating across it, or the words across the movie marquee, and to become curious. And you mentioned this in my intro, this adopting a sense of curious emergence. That to me is kind of my motto for life, is emerging into curiosity as often as possible. Because when I do that, when I can inquire, when I can ask questions, when I can become a scientist of my life, when I can look at the world as my classroom and every relationship as a teacher, then the pressure drops away. It drops away.
Wow. That was very deep. My goodness. When you define curiosity and that element of diving into curiosity. Can you just go in deeper on that and define what you mean by that and how you practice that?
Yeah. Curiosity to me is an openness to the possibilities. It's a propensity towards the potential.
Wow.
In the simplest of terms, that's how I would define it. And it looks like a child with no attachments and no biases and no stereotypes and no clinging. You know, when you watch a very young child, they are interested in everything.
Interesting. So how could we take curiosity and ways to apply it into our life?
Okay. So let's look at different areas of our lives. Let's take our relationships, for example. You know, when I am talking with a client, for example, who is struggling in her marriage, she can explain to me, this is what he does, and this is what he doesn't do, and this is what he says, and this is what I've tried, and what I hear is, and this is how it's going to be. And she may have evidence that might occur. But do we really know? If we change one thing in the sequence of events that occur, say, in a conversation between these two people, will he respond in the same way? So it's trying something different and not necessarily going into it with expectations of what the outcome will be. That may sound kind of ambiguous, doesn't it, Matt?
A little bit. You know, I guess, can we simplify it a bit?
Yeah. How about we ask questions. We instead of thinking it's going to be this one way, we pursue a bunch of different options. We brainstorm what are all of the different possibilities. Because I think with curiosity, it's about getting to new perceptions. It's about accessing new options. So, and a lot of us have these ideas that, okay, here's an example. I'm not the type of person who will just walk up to someone and say, "Hi, I'm Kori." Well, I've just set myself up for not doing that one thing. I have defined myself in a certain way and confined myself in a certain way by viewing myself as not that type of person. Well, what if I am? What if I did do that? Then would I be that type of person? Because we're an amalgamation of all different parts. You know, we've got happy parts and sad parts and depressed parts and mean parts and angry parts and lots of parts that we don't necessarily want to come out that often, and other parts that we do let come out and play more often. And the curiosity is being able to say, well, what might happen if? Here's the one question that I like to ask myself that pushes me towards curiosity is, let's see what happens.
Interesting.
Let's try it.
I like that. That's very powerful.
It is, because it opens us up. we're not forecasting the outcome at all. Right?
It's interesting because it's almost like mindfulness, it is a big facet of curiosity.
Mm-hmm. I think that in order to be curious, you have to implement mindfulness.
That's a really good point. I like that. That's very, very good. That's very good.
Yeah, that non-judgmental awareness that there are multiple things that are possible here. And I'm going to open up and expand in a way that allows whatever energy is going to be there to occur.
Okay, I really want to, can I dive into something else here with this, Kori?
Please, yeah.
This is really getting interesting. This is why, and things are coming to me now as you're talking about this. Okay, so I don't want to jump too much, but I want to move, because you're sort of shifting my curiosity now to like other emotions that we face and how we deal with these emotions. So, a common one that I'm sure all of us face every day is the emotion of fear. Or the emotion of how do we overcome fear? How do we get rid of fear? How do you face fear? And like, we all face it. And like, how do you deal with it, Kori? Like, what's your definition of how you overcome it or deal with those situations?
So, oh gosh, you are speaking my language, Matt. I love talking about emotion because to me, emotion is energy. Emotion is natural. We would not be human without emotion. We can't function without emotion. Emotion guides us in every facet of our lives. Emotion is not bad or wrong or great. I think we can look at it very neutrally, but in general, most people don't. It's, oh my gosh, this fear, I have to get rid of it. I have to face it. I have to conquer it. I have to overcome it. And to me, every emotion, and we name it, like we could choose to not name what we're calling fear. We could choose to not call it fear at all. And we could choose to say, gosh, my heart is beating really fast. And the thought in my head is, I can't do this. Or the thought in my head is, he's going to say no. Or I feel a little in my body, my mind feels chaotic. So there's that. We often create more out of an emotion than is really there based on how we define it and the words we use to explain it. Fear could also be excitement. Same thing happens in the body. Same thing. So to me, emotions are to be listened to. Emotions are to be curious about. Emotions to me signify that there's something that warrants a bit of attention. A signal that something is important, right? Something's important here. Maybe I should inquire into it as opposed to thinking I must get rid of it.
That's a great point. That's a very good point. Wow. Kori, honestly, the thing is, I want to go deep, but I know I want to cover some questions. I could be on here for 3 hours with you if you want the honest truth. Like, this is so much fun. Like, oh my God.
Do it again.
I know. I'm looking at my questions. I'm like, I can't wait to ask Kori this question, but I want to ask her more on this question. So if you don't mind, I want to get through a couple more questions, and trust me, Kori, literally, I want to dive into everything deeper with you because it's really fascinating what you're talking about. So yeah, I want to kind of dive into now, Kori, as far as you, and obviously you're an elite athlete, you're a business owner, you're the VP of the Diet Doc, and you're doing a lot of things. Like, I'm talking a lot of things. And I really want to dive into knowing what you do in the morning, what your morning routine is when you get up, what you do before work, during the day, in the evening, basically your entire day.
Okay. I get up usually at 4:30.
Okay.
Right out of bed. I have never in my life, Matt, hit the snooze button. I don't know what that looks like.
Wow.
Yeah, no, because here's the thing. What's the point? If you're gonna sleep later, set your clock later.
That's a great point.
I've never gotten the point of a snooze button. So I get up at 4:30, right out of bed. I do not lie around there, and I make my bed immediately. Now, I never did that when I was younger. And part of the reason is because clutter, to me, in my environment, clutters my mind. And I live in a very small place right now. And so when I come home at night, I like it to be as tidy as possible. So I get up, I make my bed, I put on my workout clothes, I brush my teeth, I eat my pre-workout meal, and this all happens between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. I've already packed my bag. I did that the night before with my clothes for the day. I look like a bag lady because I've got my purse, I've got my work bag, I've got my gym bag, and I've got a food bag. If you could film me kind of trying to get out of my door, it would be a comedy show. I'm like trying to lock the door and keep all my bags on my shoulders. And yeah, it's interesting. Get to work about 5:15.
You get to work at 5:15?
I get to work at 5:15. We have a private studio here where we do personal training and group fitness. So that's where I train.
Wow. Okay, so you're at work at 5:15. That's incredible. So, okay, so when you're out of bed in the morning at 4:30 to 5, okay, is there any rituals you practice, or you get up, you get ready, you're out the door?
Yeah, that's my ritual. I get up, I make my bed, I brush my teeth, I have my pre-workout meal, I turn on the TV for a little bit, and it's all typically in the same order every day. I let the cat into my bedroom. I give him a few pets. I check his food. This all happens in the span of half an hour. Yeah. That's my routine. Absolutely.
Now, what about...
And then I get to work.
Yeah.
What's that?
Now, what about... So you're at work. So basically from 5:15, you're teaching classes until what time? And what does your day start for your actual work hours?
Oh, no. At 5:15, I'm teaching my own workout class. This is Kori's personal training. Like, she's training herself at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm training between 5:30 and 7. And that's when I'm in the shower. And that usually takes me 15 minutes. I'm a fast shower. I do not like to dilly-dally in the shower. I will say, though, that I have many of my best ideas in the shower. And that's usually why I don't take very long, because I need to get out and I need to write them down, or I need to email myself. So I always have my phone in the bathroom with me. I was doing that today. I was on fire. I was like, oh my gosh, they keep coming at me because, I have this big lecture that I'm a part of on Tuesday, and I'm one of 6 speakers. And so when I know that I have something coming up and I have the topic, it's marinating back there. It's marinating back there all the time. And when I'm not engaging my brain, like when I'm in the shower, that's when I have these very creative ideas, and I'm going over in my head about how I want to introduce myself and what I'm going to say and how I want to engage the audience. And so, yeah, I had to get out of the shower really fast today so that I could go click, 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 and email myself. So then between 7:15 and 7:30, I'm making my breakfast. And by 7:30, I'm sitting down at my desk and I'm eating. And at 8 o'clock, I always have my morning powwow with Joe. We have our 8 a.m. check-in, and that's where we kind of set ourselves up for the day. What are we each doing? We have a little bit of, here's what's happening personally. And so I do that from 8 to 8:30, and we do that via Google Hangouts.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after that, Matt, my days are really different. My Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are the days that I reserve for emailing my clients back, who are sending me food logs and questions and concerns, and they know they're going to hear from me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are when I schedule my mental edge and emotional agility coaching calls. In between appointments, emails, that's when I'm going through my to-do list and writing blogs, syndicating blogs, HTMLing blogs, planning my Periscope sessions, downloading videos. I mean, my list is a mile long, just about tasks and responsibilities and the steps to get one big goal done. Like, once you do a Periscope, it doesn't end.
Wow, that is incredible.
Once you do Periscope, then you have to download the Periscope so you don't lose it in 24 hours. And then you have to edit the Periscope. And then you have to upload it to YouTube. And then you have to schedule it for syndication via all your social media channels. So it's those things in between all of my appointments that I'm doing. I'm scheduling initial, complimentary consultations with people who are interested in weight loss programming. I'm fielding sales calls. I'm having phone calls or chat sessions with our license owners who are needing help or have questions. Because, like I said in the beginning, that's something that Joe and I really spend a lot of time doing, is mentoring our owners. We want them to do their jobs as best they can and build their businesses as successfully as they can. So that takes up a significant amount of my time as well. Then I have awesome powerhouse interviews with people like Matt Park.
You're awesome.
So yeah. And let's see. I typically do not leave work until 7:30 or 8. So I'll get home 8:10, 8:15-ish. And in between all that, Matt, I do eat.
I was going to ask you.
I do go to the bathroom sometimes.
And what do you do at home at night? Like, when you get home after work, what do you do?
I eat. The first thing, okay. So I, again, like a strange person that carries too many bags, try to get into my door and fumbling with the keys. And every night it's very comical, but it's dark so no one can see me. So when I come in, my routine is, and this is all very I am a normal human being. My cat greets me at the door, which is a whole other story because he's not happy with me because I'm not home very much. And he has started attacking me because he's mad. But I've not been attacked since Sunday. I come home, I throw my bags down in very strategic places. My gym bag goes in my bedroom. My work bag goes by my desk. and I shut the blinds because I leave the blinds open for the cat. And then it's dark and I don't want people seeing me. So I shut all the blinds and I change my clothes. I have to get comfortable. So I'm usually throwing on my sweatshirt. Got to get cozy because I'm hunkering down. And then I go make dinner. And dinner takes me 10 minutes because I eat the same thing every night. I love it. It's vegetables and salad and an egg white omelet because I love it. Wow. My mom's always like, what are you having for dinner? Mom, you've been asking me that for 30 years. The answer is always the same.
So I'll talk to you in 4 months. Oh, what are you having for supper tonight, Kori? Let me guess,
My sister is the same way. My mom just can't imagine that we could like eating the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, well, Mom, okay, so I do switch out the green beans for broccoli sometimes, and I may have goat cheese instead of feta cheese, but it's largely the same meal. So I eat dinner, and I typically have CNN on because I got to catch up, especially now with what's going on politically and with the debates and everything. Feel the burn, baby. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
Oh, I love it. Oh, this is interesting. So, okay, so I want to ask you on your ritual. So obviously you're a learning machine. Like you're learning. So your brain's probably working like crazy from all day at work. So like, do you engage in meditation, like journaling, visualization? Like obviously you probably, work with it with your clients, like, but how do you engage in that core as well?
In short spurts. Yes. So, like when I get in my car to leave work, I will sit in my car before I turn it on. It's completely silent. I'll close my eyes and I'll breathe for 1 to 2 minutes. It's kind of like a mental reset. I don't want to go home with the same energy that I'm leaving work with. And then when I get to my apartment and I park my car and I turn it off, I do the same thing. Because I don't want to go into my house with the same energy that I'm leaving the car with.
Gotcha.
There are periods throughout the day when my meditation is just to sit, close my eyes, and breathe.
Interesting.
I have a meditation pillow, and I have recordings, I have meditation music, and to be perfectly honest with you, I've engaged in longer meditation sessions. I for a while I was doing it before bed, just as a way of kind of calming my body, calming my mind. I have not done that in a while. It was not a practice that I really found helpful. And so that's where I think it's important to be curious enough to try it, not shoot it down immediately thinking that that's not for me. Try it. Try it more than once to see if you want it to stick, if it's worth doing. And I fully anticipate that at some point, because those meditation cushions stare at me every night when I'm eating dinner, I see them and I think about them. And they're like, come sit on me. But at this point in my life, it's those brief spurts that are incredibly helpful for me throughout the day. And something else that I will go during the day, I'll just go into Luke's office and sit down and bug him. And that's a meditation for me, because it's a diversion and I get to connect with him and find out how he's doing. And then I'm out of my head and it's not about me anymore. So.
Wow. You are very deep, Kori. I got to say, this is impressive. And I'm being honest again, like, man, we could go on some deep conversations on just one topic for like an hour. Okay, I got to ask the next question to you because I'm really curious, because I know a lot of our listeners are probably going to be athletes or competitors that are going to be doing some kind of sport. So when because this is one of the areas you're very much an expert in, is athletic performance and mental performance and how to really reach that optimal potential mentally. So how do you do that, and what are ways, you really teach athletes to reach their optimal mental potential?
Well, first I just want to say that you called me an elite athlete, and that's very, very generous. But thank you. My athleticism has really changed over the years, and the manner in which I train has really changed too, just based on where I am in my life and what I have available to me. And so that is something that falls right in line with your question of reaching that optimal performance, is flexibility. Not necessarily bodily flexibility, mental flexibility, to be able to have an approach. We have to have an approach. How do I want to do this? Not always what am I going to do, but how am I going to do this? And it's mindset. We'll always come back to that word when we're talking about approach and athletes and what can we do to reach our optimal potential. For me too, it comes back to curiosity and asking, okay, let's see what happens. Because I think we can get so bogged down in this is what has to happen and this is the weight that I have to lift. And if we can focus on the process rather than the outcome, we can enjoy it. We can enjoy getting to that goal. And what I see with competitors is oftentimes we won't reach our optimal potential if we are not engaged in a goal that is just slightly outside of our comfort zones or is just slightly challenging. We tend to pick something that is far and above what we can reach without just, let's talk reality. Let's be realistic, I think is what I'm coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that has helped me is to hope for the best, but expect the worst. As pessimistic as that may sound, I hope for the best and I expect the worst because then I won't be let down. But my approach is this, and I think this is very helpful for athletes. Moving toward the goal instead of running away from something else.
Interesting.
So let's take someone they're an athlete, but they're working on weight loss. We all have we have a weight that we have an amount of weight that we want to lose. Just saying, I want to lose 15 pounds. Okay. That's great. And so we're moving away from fat in that case. But if we were to approach it differently and say, I am moving towards greater energy, an enhanced quality of life, vitality, being able to climb that mountain I wanted to climb with my kids, or being able to get on the floor and roll around with my grandkids, the approach is completely different. It's like we're either being chased by a monster when we're trying to move away from something. And that's not fun. That's just scary. Or we're moving towards something that's bright and positive and engaging and motivating. And when we look at what is truly going to motivate us, and this is especially important for athletes, it's having that internal driver, that intrinsic sense that I do this because I love it. And I don't do it because I have to. I do it for the pure enjoyment of doing it itself. And I feel truly connected to this. There is also a sense of effectiveness in being able to navigate whatever comes my way as I'm pursuing this goal. I may not know the answer. I may not feel comfortable, but I have the confidence and the support from people who genuinely want to see me succeed to ask the questions I need to acquire the answers, or to at least acquire the next best step.
Interesting. Wow, that is very, very deep, Core.
Yeah.
So here's something on that side. So if an athlete, let's take an athlete that isn't even a weight loss. Let's take more of an athlete in sport, and they've hit a block in their performance, and they're not sure what to do. What do you think would be a good technique or strategy to really suggest to them?
Blocks to me, Matt, reside in the body primarily. They may think literally that it's this thought that they need to overcome, the thought of I can't do this, or it's not going to happen, whatever that thought is. And recognizing the thought is really important. But so here's something that I did with a client recently. She was explaining she wrote this in an email. And, when I read emails, and this is what I suggest to people, and this is what I suggested to her. When I read people's emails, I'm scanning and monitoring what's going on inside of my body. Because like I said, emotions reside there. Where do I start to feel a sense, a pull, a warmth, a shudder, an ache, a color? Do I see a color associated with what I'm reading? And this may sound way far out there, Matt, but I asked her to repeat to herself out loud one of the sentences that she'd written to me, because I got stuck on that one sentence when I was reading it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted her to repeat it multiple times with different speeds, emphasizing different words to monitor what was going on inside of her body. And blocks show up there. It's a scan. It's a scan in many ways to assess where the block is coming from. And during that time, she is going to have memories, have thoughts, have visualizations come up completely unrelated to the topic that we're discussing.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes for athletes, the block is related to something that has occurred a long time ago.
Wow. So a lot of athletic performance and blocks, this is actually really interesting, actually. You're saying it, and it makes complete sense, comes from something, maybe a past belief or a past paradigm or a past experience that was painful for them?
A lot of times, yes, absolutely. Traumatic experiences. Huh. And when I say trauma, I mean, there's a continuum of trauma. It could be an injury. It could be an emotional trauma. Someone died at a certain time, and that is connected to some part of performance, a loss in some way. For a lot of times for athletes, it's injuries.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. That is huge. That was amazing insight, Core. We're going to have to dive in here, Core, to the next set of questions, Core.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, we can go on this topic for a long time, and I'm loving this stuff. And I want to, but I know we only have a certain amount of time. So with that being said, Corey, we're going to go into the next set of 5 questions. It's called the Peak 5. Are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Awesome. Number 1, do you have a mentor, coach, or someone of influence in your life right now?
Mm-hmm. I'm not working with a coach in particular, although I did when I was meandering through the muck of my dissertation and trying to center myself around a move, a business, and a life. Right now, I would say that the most influential people in my life are Dr. Joe, because he is not only one of my best friends, but we manage the Diet Doc together and just really, we engage in a lot of reflection. Mm-hmm. And he knows me better than anyone knows me. And I've learned a tremendous amount from him. And what I love about that relationship is that we challenge one another. So I think we all need a person in our lives who can be our mirrors, mm-hmm. Who can reflect back what we may not see, the deeper parts of ourselves. And so he is that. And we have the sort of relationship where I can say to him, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm experiencing, poke holes in it. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Wow.
Most of us go to our friends because we want affirmation and confirmation. I go to my friends typically so they can tell me where my blind spots are. I don't want to walk around blind. And my mom, the two most influential people, my mom and Joe. And I respect my mom more than anyone on the planet.
Wow.
Very emotional for me.
That is amazing, Kori. Thank you for really expressing that, Kori. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
And let's not forget your cat.
He teaches me temperance and patience.
That's your third key influential person,
oh, my goodness. He definitely influences me, and I don't know that it's in a very good way.
In the morning when you give him a pet, I'm sure, it calms you and, it keeps you centered, so, yeah.
We're working through some things right now. That's for sure. Quick story on that, if it's okay. So I wasn't living in the best situation when I first moved here, and he kept getting out of the house, and he doesn't have any front claws, and he was getting in fights and getting hurt. And so I took him to my dad's, and my dad lives in New Mexico. It was a long drive, but I went out there for Thanksgiving and took Jackson, that's my cat. I took Jackson with me, and they offered to keep him until I found a different place to live. Well, I've had Jackson since he was a baby, and he is so loving, and he's gregarious, and he loves people, and he's just the best cat ever. But so I took him to my dad's, and he had him for 4 months. And my dad's a cat person. He had 3 or 4 cats, and he's retired now. So Jackson got a ton of attention.
Wow.
And, before I dropped him off at my dad's, this is Jackson, he's used to being alone. He knows that Kori is at work all day. And so when my dad came back with him when I moved to help me move and everything, he was fine for the first couple days, but Matt, he's been like flipping out. So if there are any like cat whisperers in the audience, we need to chat because he is, I don't know if he's scared. I think he is. The way he's been acting, he seems scared, but he's upset. It's like a frightened, because he's been attacking me. And I told my dad, and he's like, you just need to give him a ton of attention. And I'm like, unless I bring him to work, the situation is he's by himself. I can pet him in the morning, give him the pets in the morning, and I give him the pets at night before I go to bed. But he is unhappy and angry and scared. So I do what I can. He is teaching me, like the other day, it was the worst situation ever. Like he chased me, and then his tail got huge and all of his hair stood up, and he turned around, he looked at me with these crazy eyes, and he let out this huge yowl. And so I'm like, okay, if this were a human, This human, what would I do? Okay, I'd get down on their level. I sat on the floor and I just spoke really softly to him, and I put my hand out, and like he kind of skirted around me a bit and looked, like not real trusting. And then he came up to me and he sniffed my hand, and then I was able to pet him. But, I could relate this in so many ways to the way in which we act with people and, or don't act with people when we need to act that way with people, and being compassionate instead of impatient. But so that's been a real challenge for me. Mm-hmm. It's a relationship that I have that is in conflict. As silly as that sounds, it is, but yeah.
Interesting.
It's influencing me for sure.
Well, it's a good lesson to pass on, because you got a good point. Some of those, sometimes our animal lovers, can pass on those, even though they're obviously they're like our human connection, can give us a lot of life, a lot of lessons that can relate to a relationship as if they were human, right? So
yes, it's something that I can apply in other areas of my life. So certainly influential. Yeah.
Number 2, Kori, what is your favorite book?
Wow. I don't have a favorite book. I have lots of books. I have a lot of books. Like I know you do too. I have a stack that has those tabs sticking out of them. And they're all related to psychology and mindfulness and presence and emotion. I'll say some of my favorites, because the tabs indicate there are many. Anything by Dr. Dan Siegel. He is the father of interpersonal neurobiology. Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. Eating in the Light of the Moon.
Love it. Those are great.
Yeah.
Eating by the Light of the Moon, Kori?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Love it. So those will actually be in our show notes. You can go check them out on the website, and we'll have all those linked appropriately. Number 3, what is your favorite quote, Kori?
We see things not as they are, but as we are.
That's a good one.
And that's by Anais Nin. She is an essayist, novelist.
I like that. All right, Kori, number 4. If you could tell your 20-year-old self one thing, what would that be? And just so everyone knows Kori is 21. So
keep laughing.
I was waiting till you were finished.
That's one thing that I will say. Knowing now what's going to happen to me at 21, that was a very difficult time in my life. Difficult period. You'll get through this. Keep laughing. This is awesome. I love that question. This is a journal question. Don't give up on yourself.
That's a good one, Kori. I like that. It's one of those questions that literally, it could be a literally half an hour conversation, right? Going over the lessons and, but that one key thing, that's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah. Don't give up on yourself. And to me, I mean, that right there, don't give up on yourself, is so layered and nuanced. And it comes back to the radical acceptance of everything that you are. Don't doubt it.
Good point. I love that. Number 5, Kori, if there were no limits, what would you contribute to in the world today?
If I could gather everyone in the world and have them each spend 5 minutes looking into one another's eyes and saying nothing. I think it would completely change the climate of hate to compassion.
Wow. That's one of the deepest answers I think I've ever got before, Kori.
It breaks my heart to see what's going on. And that's what I would do. You didn't ask me if it could actually happen.
Well, I was going back to Jackson, your cat. But it's such a beautiful question, and what you just said, it's so true, because just the way the power of that whole meaning and the power of how you express that, it literally is, that's contribution, that's love, that's connection, that's a lot of stuff, really. Emotion, everything you've just talked about in a nutshell, basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, Kor, let's dive into kind of the round things off here, okay, Kor? Because I want to kind of find out a little bit of what you're doing and things you're working on, because you're like, you've got this, like I say, your bio was just literally, it could have been a book long if you wanted it to be, and which shows how hard of a worker you are and how much you've put into your life of really growing and becoming the best possible person you can be. So with that, Kori, what right now is happening with Kori, and what can we, really promote for Kori right now for the show?
You bet. Thank you, Matt. So you guys heard me talk about the Diet Doc licensing opportunity. And this is where, oh gosh, we get so excited about this, because we want to bring on the best, the brightest, the most forward-thinking, business-minded individuals who want to become entrepreneurs or already are entrepreneurs and providing weight loss and nutrition and behavior change, bringing that to their clients. So we're growing. We have some amazing things coming down the pipeline in terms of just what we are offering our clients as part of the Diet Doc, what we're offering our license owners. So that would be the biggest thing, Matt, is, if anyone is interested in working with us, we would love to talk to you. We have people who come on board they're doing personal training. They've been clients of ours before. They're already engaged in some sort of a coaching or consulting practice, but they know they need more education. They need their own coaching and support in order to build their businesses. They need a solid brand, of which the Diet Doc has been around for over 20 years. So we're really excited about that and would love to chat with anyone in that regard. We do, you asked what I'm currently working on, Matt, and gosh, I am writing another book. And this is something that Joe and I are collaborating on again. The topic is based on my research from my dissertation. And, my chair had said to me after my defense, she's like, if you don't write a book for the general public on this, I will hunt you down, which was a really nice compliment. I loved to hear that. So that is in the works. And it really is focusing on mindset and focusing on motivation in particular, and how that relates to goal pursuit and behavior change. So
I love it.
Those are the major things. Yes.
Guys, you got to check out Kori's book. In fact, if you haven't already, we have the link of the book you co-authored with Dr. Joe in episode number 2. And it will also be in the show notes, guys, for this notes as well. So please go to thedietdoc.com, check out all the information on Kori, Dr. Kori, and Dr. Joe. You're going to get a load of information, of articles, information, and what these two powerhouses are doing and what Kori is doing with behavioral change, mental science, mindset, motivation, and literally 100 more things. So absolutely a pleasure, Kori. Any last words you want to share with the group and the audience before we end our interview today?
I just want to thank you, Matt. I so respect you. And so being on here with you has been so much fun. And I really appreciate you asking me to be on the show. As you mentioned, I'm in San Diego and we have a personal training studio here and we do nutrition and weight loss consulting. And so if anyone is listening in San Diego and would like to meet with me, give me a call, email me. It's Kori@thedietdoc.com. I'm sure, Matt, you'll have that information